In life, you will keep coming across the same thing. People whose behavior, whose sense of the world, whose moral systems are just so incongruent that you can't understand how they can possibly think that way. You might see someone who you think is depraved, irresponsible, immoral, and think that that person embodies all that is wrong with the world. And yet somehow that person looks at you, sees an uptight, brutal, close-minded fool. He thinks that you are what is wrong with the world. So why do humans do this? Why does this bifurcation exist? This difference is actually very important to our social systems. How humanity functions requires these different types of people. On this channel, we explore economic, geopolitical, financial, and social systems. But this time, let's get into that deeper metaphysical layer. Let's look at this duality that drives human success. There are many different dualities that exist within the world. There's the masculine and feminine, the yin and yang. There's the ordered and the chaotic. Friedrich Nietzsche analyzes the Apollonian and Dionysian. There is a relationship between all these dualities. So we are going to explore why humanity needs preserving order and creative chaos to thrive. Consider two different types of people. The first is orderly, conscientious. He's cerebral and responsible. Perhaps you or someone you know is like this. Someone who followed the rules, quite likely got good grades in school. Someone who has a proper job, dressed in the nice collared shirt, working diligently at the spreadsheet. This person does very well in bureaucratic social systems. He follows the rules as he is told. He pays attention to the details. He is well organized and analytical. Imagine someone like an accountant, a financial analyst, perhaps a logistics manager, or certainly a lawyer. This sort of person can appear in many places. Quite often you will see him as a bureaucrat. He knows the procedures, knows what is expected of him, and he is a stickler for following those procedures. So try to imagine this man, and imagine his systems. He wakes up early, has a responsible breakfast. He gets into his car on time, and arrives at work on time. Once there, he doesn't waste time. He goes straight to his desk and checks all of his emails. He knows what is expected of him and what he needs to get done. He'll then load up his work and set to it. He will work diligently, following all of the company's procedures. His desk and his person are neat, and he takes great pride in his title and credentials. Once the day is done, he goes home. There he eats a reasonable meal. He might have a family, perhaps in the suburbs, a house with a nice tidy lawn. Perhaps he puts on the news, quite likely some sort of establishment news, something where a man in a nice suit tells him what is what. He then looks around. He sees people who do not follow this order. Perhaps they're the wild hedonists, the ones out partying. Perhaps they are the wild thinkers outside of the box. He may look at them and see subversives, people who are shaking the order. Or yet he might see creatives, people who he views as frivolous. He tuts before going to bed at a reasonable hour. This is the upholder of the structure. If you are like him, then you will think responsible, someone doing things as they should be done. Yet if you are quite different than this man, you see him as boring, rigid, and perhaps lacking in personality. Neither of these are quite right, nor quite wrong. For this man is necessary. This is the man who maintains the systems, who keeps things running. Yet he is not sufficient for humanity to thrive. For he will never build a new system. He will never find faults in the present system. He is not capable of change nor adaptation. So let's look at a very different man. This man may wake up late, or perhaps he is already up. He was perhaps working on a project, hanging out with friends, or partying the night before. He may not have a steady job. Perhaps he is something like a musician, perhaps a visual artist. When he sets out for his day, it may look very different than the day before. Perhaps he first has a drink or a smoke, something to get him into a freer headspace. He goes out to do what he is going to do. There he may do something quite novel. Perhaps he is scraping by, doing musical shows. He spends his day in a free-form manner, creating, dreaming, enjoying time with friends. And in the night, when the responsible man is going home, he perhaps has another smoke or takes out some pills. He and his friends are going to meet up with some women, and they are going to have an indulgent night. There they feel and experience. Their understanding of the world is embodied. They feel it in the rhythm of the music. They feel it in the substances within them. And as the night goes on, they feel it on their skin. When they go out for an amorous encounter with a new woman, perhaps to wake up in a new bed for the next day. Now this man will no doubt see the first one. He will look at him and say, "My God, isn't that life boring?" When he runs into him, he will think he is uptight, restrictive, and close-minded. He will hear the complaints of this man and believe that he is oppressive, that just because he lacks spirit doesn't mean that he should force that on everyone else. Now one man sees a decadent and depraved, aimless hedonist, while the other sees an uptight fascist. Perhaps they both may be right, or perhaps both wrong, for most people are neither true extreme. Yet assume for a moment that these two men are the extremes. One is a rigid and uncompromising bureaucrat. He tyrannizes others for simple infractions, flexing his own power for power's sake. You know this man, the bureaucrat at the DMV, who tells you that you are supposed to sign on Form 43322XJ and initial on Form 433B23XJ, and not initial on Form 43322XJ and sign on Form 433B23XJ, and now tells you to get back in line for another hour. He has no remorse, no compassion, only the rules. He is a little tyrant. He is the embodiment of oppressive order. Now say the other man is the extreme form. He is aimless. He provides nothing. He is hedonistic and indulgent, taking from society. He is the destructive force of chaos. And yet, the two need each other very much. The chaotic, the creative, that which looks at the social systems and laughs. The one who turns to the bureaucrat and begins mocking, saying, "Why are you taking yourself so seriously?" He is where new ideas come from. When a system begins to deteriorate due to entropy, he is the one that can see the faults. He is the one who can suggest new solutions. He can operate around the system. Sometimes men like this make very excellent founders. And yet isn't it something that very often the greatest founders in business, the inventors who propel humanity forward, are the same people who did poorly in school and who are unable to work at a cubicle. For they see the system as it is. They can see its faults, and they can mock it. This gives them an enormous advantage. They can create new ideas. They can propose solutions. These are the creators of our great art. These are our great inventors. And yet, they can't work within the system. Now while he looks at the bureaucratic man, seeing someone bland, uncreative, and uptight, that man is also vital. He is the one who runs the machine. He is the one who keeps it all going. His great flaw is that he cannot see the machine for what it is, nor can he truly understand its purpose. However, he is the one who can maintenance the machine. He is the one who can keep it going. He is the stabilizing force. Now think of a great company. One of those enormous behemoths in the S&P 500. No doubt you can think of one that has a famously wacky founder. Perhaps some Silicon Valley weirdo. The one out taking MDMA at Burning Man, and wandering into his office without shoes. If this man did not exist, then there would be no company at all. Yet could he ever run that company? Perhaps he even has excellent business acumen. But can he do payroll? Can he maintain the accounts receivable? Is it possible for him to stay on top of logistics and inventory? No, he needs the other man. This repeats across all of our social systems. The systems are built by wild pioneers. From there, they are maintained by bureaucrats. Now, the bureaucrat has a certain reverence for the rules. He sees procedure as a moral good in and of itself. In fact, the rules to him are what gives him meaning. He cannot stand to see the procedures violated. No. It says in the rulebook, we do it this way, and this way it shall be done. For he never questions the rules. And why should he? The rules work, don't they? They got us here. In fact, to him, questioning the rules is immoral. For the rules are good in and of themselves. The rules are order. For you see, he has made one fundamental folly. He believes that order is good and chaos is evil. Now look at the very different man. He can't stand the rules. You put him into a corporate office and immediately he will see that there is some bureaucratic procedure that makes just no sense. He will ignore the rule, believing that he has done the right thing, that he has solved a problem, and that he is accomplishing more in less time. And yet when the man of order comes around to check on him, he will be greatly distressed. The rules have been broken. Procedure has not been followed. And so of course now you have one believing that the other just has a fundamentally flawed moral system. One sees order and the rules as good, and so breaking them was wrong, while the other sees the rules as pointless, stifling, and detrimental to productivity. He sees the man demanding procedure be followed as simply getting in the way. He is wasting time and flexing his authority for no purpose other than procedure for procedure's sake. So which is right? Well, that depends very much on what the circumstance is and what is called for. Imagine an enormous ocean-going vessel, something on the size of a large cargo ship, or a cruise. Most of the time, you will want that sailing steady. No sudden turns, just stay the course. Most of the time, if procedures are followed as they always have, and the boat just keeps on going forward, then everyone on board will be a lot better off. Yet every so often there's an obstacle, there's something unexpected, or perhaps something in the boat's engine room begins to fail. In that case, you do not want the helmsman who has been told, "I go this direction and no other." In that moment, you will want someone to take initiative and quickly change course. This is the change agent. And this is a fundamental part of the business and financial cycles, as it is how society itself operates. For we see this in society at large. Some are very conservative, orderly, rule-following. They believe in doing things as they always have been done. They tend to have great restraint in their personal lives. Quite likely they have their family, they're monogamous, and they live in their home with their nice neat lawn. Then you have another. He cares most about freedom and liberty. Perhaps he is a supporter of drug legalization, or perhaps he has a very libertine sexual life. And thus, it makes sense that he looks upon the man with the nice clean yard and sees a fascist, while the man with his wife and children looks upon the other and sees a chaotic parasite. Both believe that the other is evil. We see a similar dynamic play out in the business cycle again and again. A wild outsider founder builds an incredible company. Perhaps imagine someone like Steve Jobs or Henry Ford. This outsider man who doesn't play by the rules, who sees what is lacking in society and thinks outside of the box, is able to build something spectacular. He builds a product and it explodes, and thus the company explodes along with it. As sales increase and increase, the business finds it must hire more employees, and as this occurs, no doubt there will be more managers hired to manage the employees. Over time, this business becomes a large bureaucratic entity. This is all well and good, as the product is still selling, and it is continuing along its own momentum. Yet decades later, this begins to change. The products no longer sell as well as they used to. Market conditions are changing. Consumers want different things, and perhaps to make it worse, interest rates have changed. Whatever the circumstances, it's not how it used to be. Well, this web of bureaucrats tries to find a solution. They try to figure out how to get back to what they once were. But no matter how hard they try, they just can't do it. They look in the procedures. Surely if they just follow the rules harder, things will get better. They have meetings and hold seminars, teaching all of their employees of the updated procedures. And when time comes for desperate measures, they call in the McKinsey consultant. This doesn't work either. So now they're stuck. Floors and floors of bureaucrats, all working very long days, just unable to come up with a solution. Well, this seems impossible to them. They have teams of MBAs. They hired 10 new law firms. They brought in McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. Why not Accenture just for good measure? They try fiddling around with the procedures a little bit. After all, the consultant found that there is a 3% efficiency gain in this department if they were just to shift around the teams and download some new software. And yet, it still doesn't work. And so then, perhaps of their own volition, or because of an activist investor, suddenly a change agent arrives. This man goes up to the top floor. He gathers around the top executives, and he informs the company that 40% of the workforce are now fired. Those bureaucrats are simply no longer needed. He then looks through the procedures. He finds that nearly all of them are a waste of time and resources. Gone, scrapped, cut. He meets with marketing and sales and tells them that their branding and products are now going in an entirely different direction. He pivots markets, replaces executives, guts a further 20% of the workforce, and introduces brand new products. This horrifies the bureaucrat. None of this is according to procedure. This wild outsider, this agent of absolute chaos, has destroyed everything I've built. He is the embodiment of chaotic destruction. And yet perhaps too, he embodies creative destruction. For though not always the case, sometimes these changes work. Rows and rows of cubicles filled with bureaucrats, gone. Yet now the company is making more money than it ever has. Those thousands of managers just could not come up with this solution, for they were too bounded by the procedures of old. For when things were going well, the company needed them. They needed that steady hand to keep everything going in the same direction. Yet when it began to fail, when bureaucracy began to crumble under its own complex weight, the solution was not more order, but the injection of chaos. The change agent is chaotic, but he is also necessary. We see this on social systems, on the order of entire nations, on the order of international geopolitics. Every time some great crisis ends, we believe that we have found the solution that will ensure no more wars, everyone just trades and prospers forever. Yet eventually, when the rules are no longer sufficient, when the bureaucracies are too large and too cumbersome that they get in the way of actually doing anything, a great man arrives. Now you can tell a lot about someone by how they view the great men of history. Does someone view the Caesar or the Napoleon as a great and heroic figure? Or is he viewed as destructive and vainglorious? The great man is the one who can stand before an entire nation and say that everything it has been doing up to then has been wrong. That is the power of the outsider, the creative, the one who can see systems as they are and understand why they truly run. The one who can stand before a crowd and say that they are all wrong. He is the chaos that brings new order. Is this man great, or is this man chaos? Well, perhaps he is both. Perhaps greatness and chaos may actually be synonyms rather than antonyms. It's not that chaos is always good. Of course, we know the hedonist who has destroyed his life. We know the antisocial criminal. We know that an excess of chaos can be destructive. But chaos is also the only place true greatness comes from. The reason a barefoot Steve Jobs can do more than hundreds of MBAs in an expensive office. And so this gets at an eternal tension in society. You may be much like one or the other. Perhaps you see the very liberal, free, libertine, creative, and chaotic, and think that they are immoral. You just can't understand how someone can be like that. Surely this man is decadent, depraved. He is destructive to society. Or perhaps you are like the other man, and you look out in society and think that there are uptight, stuffy, closed-minded, and fascistic petty tyrants. Well, if you see one of these entities in society, there's a reason. It's not because the other is evil, and it's not because you are fundamentally wrong, but it's because both have a part to play. The company ends without the change agent. The society ends without the great man. Culture stagnates without the creative artist, and the great religions would never be without the mystic. And yet the company doesn't run without the bureaucrat. Society doesn't run without the official who holds the rules as sacred. Culture does not continue without those who preserve the old ways. And of course there would be no religion without the priest. This is so deep and so fundamental to human systems. The mystic looking at the dogmatist, seeing him as blind and cruel, while the dogmatist looking at the mystic, seeing him as irresponsible and taking to flights of fancy. It's the minister and the sage in the kingdom. It's the manager and the change agent. And now in society, it's the rule-following enforcers of the old establishment and the agents of chaos who just might build something better. The two need each other, yet the two must both restrain each other. The excess of order is the oppressive order. On the order of the self, it means no expression, no exploration. It means being stifled. It means being unable to adapt. And it is a miserable, gray existence. On the interpersonal level, it means being controlling. It means being boring and tedious. And it means being self-righteous. On the order of society, it means bureaucratic tyranny. It means the fascistic police state. It means the oppressive heavy hand. And it means decay, from being unable to adapt. Meanwhile, the destructive chaos means being irresponsible. It means being self-destructive. And it means being reckless. On the interpersonal level, it means being unreliable. It means being unstable. And on the social level, it is violent chaos. It is disorder. And it is instability. Oppressive order like the brown shirt police state, and destructive chaos like the Maoist Red Guard. Yet both with proper balance and in their proper place mean a thriving society. To be the ordered bureaucrat is a low-risk, low-reward proposition. It means a comfortable life of mediocrity, never being special, yet being comfortable, respectable, and having stability. While the chaotic, outsider creative is a very high-risk, high-reward proposition. This could be a life of abject failure, yet it is also the only way to greatness. Perhaps this could be the homeless junkie, yet it just might be Steve Jobs or the Beatles. You yourself do not have to be both, and if you heavily incline toward one, then you don't even have to like the other, but you should recognize that the other is not evil. Half of your country are not degenerate parasites, nor are they closed-minded fascists. These two archetypes have needed each other for all of humanity's history. When it comes to markets, business, or society at large, what is important for you to do is to simply appreciate what the other brings, and recognize that each one is needed in its own time and place. If you are the free and wild creative, take some time to appreciate the uptight and stuffy, rule-following bureaucrat. For he may be a fool, but he's a necessary fool, for he is why the system keeps on running. And if you are the one who holds procedure as sacred, if you're the one who has always done everything by the book, the one who is terrified of chaos, take a moment to appreciate that all of this only exists because of that wild outsider. That he may be a crazy idiot, but that we all need him. People usually are not purely one nor the other, but most people are inclined toward one. And while this is perfectly fine, a real problem arises when one believes that the other is defective or evil. Each one is needed in his own time and place, and as we go forward in this time of great change, consider that most are just trying their best, that order, rules, and by the book is good and what keeps society going, but that creative destruction is not something to fear. You might see the chaos and be terrified, but it is necessary to how we get anywhere. The two need each other, and as long as the two can continue in dynamic tension, neither defeating the other and always in a sort of dance, then we can build some really, really great things.